Welcome to this LEX 18 Digital Conversation. I'm Dia Davidson. Our guest today, the mayor of Lexington, Jim Gray, and during his tenure he has faced many issues, and today is of course no different in light of the deadly weekend violence in Charlottesville, Virginia, and the various race issues that we have faced here in our city. He has made the decision to move forward with two changes that will forever change the landscape of our city. I'm pleased to be with the Honorable Jim Gray. It's good to see you, Mayor.
You're great to be with you, always.
All right, let's talk about, this is not an issue that is a light-hearted one. This is a very serious.
Nothing casual.
Nothing at all. Let's talk a little bit about your feelings about what has happened in light of Charlottesville. The governor of Virginia is saying that those individuals who incited it, which were white supremacists, KKK, needed to leave our country, and your plans for our city to try and sort of correct some of the ills.
Right. Well, Dee, I think if you dial back to Saturday, I was watching the events unfold in Charlottesville like so many and seeing the tragic nature of those events. And I realized that I wanted to make a comment. Of course, like many elected officials, I think that we must communicate. It's our responsibility to communicate with our citizens. So I wanted to make a comment. I knew, too, that we were preparing to make an announcement tomorrow on Tuesday that we would be going to the city council. We would be going to the city council to pass ask them to pass a resolution to relocate the Confederate statues in Cheapside on the courthouse lawn.
We're talking about Hunt Morgan and Breckenridge.
And Breckenridge, right. So I knew that I wanted to make a statement, but I also knew that as soon as I made a statement, the question would be, well, Gray, what are you doing? Well, we had these plans already in place. And I made the decision to go ahead and announce that we were going to be taking this resolution, proposing this resolution, to the City Council, which would then go to the Kentucky Military Heritage Commission because they have authority over the relocation, the movement of these statues.
But do you think it's going to be inflammatory in the city in light of this sort of raw nerve right now, and maybe to have waited a little bit?
Of course, you're always, as a mayor, you're always thinking, first priority is public safety. In this situation, it's one of those challenging times for a leader. You're on the razor's edge, you're on the front line, and you're thinking, we've got American values here at stake.
Yes.
These are American values: liberty, justice, freedom. Yes, even free speech, violence, hatred. What do you do? So my decision was really pretty easy. We already had the plan made.
Right.
And values are at stake here. Our values are at stake. And you cannot retreat from your values.
But now your choice of placement, because of course we've had the discussion there on UK's campus with the mural and whether it should be, taken down off the wall or created into a museum, placing it over, these statues over in Veterans Park, one of the best elementary schools in our city. The children are going to be faced with seeing these. It's sort of like in South Carolina with the flag that was there, and people said, they have to face it every day. Is that really the best possible spot? Because according to the NAACP, they sent to me a note, and they said that, they're very happy with your choice of moving, but they're rather concerned about where you're planning and are suggesting even the Lexington Cemetery as a place.
Actually, that's a good site, the Lexington Cemetery, and we considered that site, and we actually asked the cemetery if they would consider it. Actually, Breckenridge and Morgan are both buried there. So it's a really good site. Regrettably, they said no earlier. Now, perhaps they might reconsider it. I don't know that. But what we had to do was go ahead with the plan. And Veterans Park put in context. Yes, you're right. These statues represent a period of American history. It's tragic. Put in the context of the addition of two memorials, two statues to the Union soldiers right beside them, and then explaining the deep divisions that existed in Kentucky over the war. Because this would be a Civil War area along the War Memorial Walk where other conflicts would be memorialized, other conflicts in the history of the country. There's none deeper, more divisive than the Civil War. So putting those statues in the context of the full conflict and dedicated statues to Union soldiers, which we don't have today. would help that education process.
Would
That's
we-
at least my view.
Would we consider also including with Union soldiers African American
Absolutely.
Union
I
soldiers?
think that would be the appropriate thing to do. You know, one of the largest African American regiments, I'm told, was a Kentucky regiment.
Indeed.
The second largest in the country.
Indeed, indeed, because we've named numerous schools in our system after historical figures who are
Frederick
African
Douglass
American.
just recently.
Indeed, indeed. Are we doing enough in our schools to teach our young people not just one day's worth of history or 1 month, which is the shortest month of the year, but really to make African American history a part of what it is as American history and incorporated and infused into the curriculum?
You're absolutely right there, and there's always room for improvement.
Sure.
I say continuous improvement is what we ought to focus on every day, getting up every day thinking how can we improve tomorrow what we did yesterday, and that's an opportunity that we need to explore, absolutely.
Have we talked to the individuals in the community over there in Veterans Park off of Tate's Creek
to
see if this is something that they really want to have in their community?
Yep. Engaging, I know that our council member from that district, Susan Lamb, is engaged with members of the community today. One of the challenging things, of course, in a decision like this, in a decision process like this, is when do we engage the community and how, and do you come with a proposal, and then you get feedback. I've always believed that change is better accepted when it's understood, and so this represents change, and it's going to be necessary to process that change and to get feedback, even more feedback. We've actually had a couple of years of engaging in feedback on these issues.
Any concerns about any backlash and any plans in place to make sure that the citizens here of Lexington are safe during this transition period?
Well, public safety is our first priority. Any mayor knows that, that's what occupies your time, your thoughts. And what I say routinely is that Lexington is a caring and giving and compassionate community, and we are also disciplined and we are prepared.
Indeed.
We're also disciplined and we're prepared. And our police, our fire, our emergency response units, they are among the best in the country.
Indeed.
And that's what we can count on.
Indeed, indeed. And Lexington has always been on the floor when we think about the lunch counter incidences back during the civil rights movement. They actually started here. That movement started here in Lexington. So we hope that the skeleton, America's skeleton that's been rattling in that closet will eventually be quieted, and we can all move forward together. Mayor Jim Gray, thank you so very much for taking your time to come in, and we want to thank you so very much for watching this edition of LEX 18's Digital Conversation. Be sure to follow us on lex18.com for more digital conversations. Until next time, I'm Dia Davidson.